Hello guys, welcome to the new video tutorial on Angular. So in the last video tutorial we guys have seen how we can create a reactive form along with this design for the validation. Now in this video we guys are going to check how we can able to perform the validations to this form that we got created. And to do that, so what you guys needs to do is, as this validation I wanted to bind dynamically to my control, so I have to add these validations to our TypeScript variable for each and every control. So let us say for the first name, what I need to do is I have to add what we can say, I have to add the validation as the data must be there. That is what required. Then here, after this initial value, you can write the second arguments, that is comma, and then you can mention validators required. Okay, which means that this value is required. If you cannot put that value right there, it is going to be changes at a runtime. Okay, let me show you this by this example. So I'm just going to inspect the element, and here you guys can see I will go to this div, and right now you guys can see to this input box. So if you guys can check with the classes, so form control is already there, ng touched, ng prisoning, and ng invalid, because right now the data is not there, so ng invalid class is going to be assigned. So what if I'm going to change that data? So at a runtime, so you guys can see that changes in the class is going to done, and it's set it to the ng valid class. So these validations are going to be performed like this. Okay, and similar in the way, so you guys can see for the this one div, for the middle name, I will show you this. For the middle name, so for the inputs, again we have ng valid, ng touched. If I'm start typing there, so again it is got changes to the ng valid class. So you can provide all these validators to this. So I wanted to provide the same validator to my middle name also. Well, the middle name is optional, so it is we are going to provide here for the example. So again, for the last name also I'm going to give, for date of birth also I'm going to give, for age also I'm going to give, for year, for gender. Okay, genders and everything will be of runtime, that we are going to check how we can validate for the select control. And for the fees also I'm going to give this validation. Well, when it comes to the email, we have two different validations for the email. One is what for required, and other one is for email value. And to write more than one validation, you have to convert them into the array. So let me write to the array like this, and the second value that I will have is like validators dot email, which means it is going to validate for email and required for both. And let us now say for first name I have to provide some minimum string characters and maximum string character. Now I will go for minimum. If you guys want, you can write that more than one validators also. Now let me select here with this array, because more than one validators to add. Validators mean length, and then let us say that is 2. Okay, so if you want, you can add it for the last name and middle name also. Now these are the validations I got written, and what I need to do is on my this form, this button should be enabled and disabled. If it is validated, then it is must be enabled. If it is not, then it must be disabled. And to do that, so I will go to the HTML, and here for this button I am going to add one more property. Let us say that the property is bind by the disabled, so we have to use open close square bracket, because it's property binding concepts, and this is comes from reactive, that is what form. Okay, dot valid. If the form is valid, okay, we should have to use invalid right here. So valid, the form is invalid, so you guys can see the button is got disabled. And if you put all the data, let us say here Suraj, this is optional, but we have provided the required, so I have to provide the information. So this is date of birth, then age is disabled. Okay, but we have to check with this value again, Suraj @ LeadSoft.com, gender. All right, so course, and this fees, as hence the age is not working, so it is not valid right there. So if you guys wanted to change with this for the age, we are going to change, or else I'm going to set a value. Okay, we will check that code how we can able to change that date of birth. If I'm selecting the date of birth, then how I'm going to change the value of the age. And to do that, so what I'm going to write, as I required this information to my TypeScript file, so I'm going to bind one variable to this input. So let me first create this variable to my type component file, and let us say that variable name is birth date and initial value nothing. Now I'm going to bind this variable ng model to this input, and this is vr. So here I'm going to bind with this as ng model, and that is birth date. Now as we are changing some controls, or we are changing the information on this date input model, so I have to calculate the age. So here I'm bind one method also as change, and I'm going to write a method, let us say calculate age. The method is not defined, that's why it turns into the error. So let us define this method into our TypeScript file. So I'm going to mention calculate age, and now you guys can see the error must be got resolved. Okay, calculate age, let me take spelling name correctly, there might be some spelling mistake. Now the error is got resolved. Now to this age, I'm going to calculate the age first, and to calculate the age I'm going to check whether this form control of date of birth is available or not. So for this I'm going to write if condition. So if this form got this control of this DOB is available, then I'm going to write the code first is to extract the time difference in between current date and the selected date. And to do that, so I'm going to create a variable called as time difference. Okay, this is the time difference variable equals to, I'm going to say this math.abs. So I want abstract absolute difference in between this both of the file. So it's a date.now. Using the date.now, we can able to returns with the current date object, and this other date is stored at our birth date variable, but as hence it's string data type, I have to convert them to the new date. So I am going to say new date of this birth date, and this value must be converted to the string, right? And to get that difference, we have to use a method called as get time. So as you guys can see, we have converted that data. Why this is error? Okay, so the data is already there in a string, it is not required to convert, but there is a error at this time difference. I actually have to create them with the var. Now the difference of the time we have calculated by the current date and the selected date. Now we have to assign this value using some calculations, as like divided by 1000 multiplied by 3600 and multiplied by 24 to our data using floor operators. Now to do with that, so I'm going to use this form control, and this control name called as h, and set a value. So I'm going to use set value, and here I'm going to say that value must be of, okay, here I'm writing to the new line math.floor, and this value coming from this time difference. So I'm going to say this value coming from time difference by 1000 multiplied by 3600 and multiplied by 14, and I have to convert this value to the to string so that I can able to apply this. So I'm going to say to string so that it can fix up to the respective text box, but still it turns into the error. So I guess at the last I should have to use that to string operator. One more is left, that is divided by 365 in the calculation. Let me check what is the error. So argument type is number, not assignable to the parameter so called as string. So okay, this floor where it is going to close, okay, it is going to close right at here. Okay, so this time difference is going to close. Okay, one more changes that I have to do right here is to change that adding curly bracket. All right, so everything is working fine. So as we guys can see, we are setting up the values. You guys can select with this. So let us add the data, and you guys can see this button is disabled. So I'm going to say Suraj Pawar, the middle name. Alright, then last name, date of birth I'm going to select, and the age you guys can see automatically calculates. If you can change this one also, the age is going to calculate automatically. Now the email address, okay, gender, again course, and now I'm entering the fees value. And while entering the fees value, you guys can see this button is got disabled. If the fees is not there, so form is invalid, so button is also disabled. And when I'm entering this, the button is getting enabled right there. So using this, we guys can able to work with very smooth. Now as we have provided the validator, so at a runtime I have to show that values also. If certain data is not there and we are trying to be click on this button, so in that case I have to show that data. And to do that, so I'm going to add some span here for each and every input. Let us say for first name, I wanted to check the validation. The validation is right there, so we are going to use print some data. So I'm going to print that data in a span, and let us say that data is what, enter first name. Alright, now I'm going to provide the style to this span as color as red. So let me get back here, and here I'm going to say span and this color as red. Alright, now the next step that we are going to do is this span. Now you guys can see this is showing right here, but I have to show this text on behalf of certain condition. Now to do that, so I'm going to use the ng if structural directive. So I'm going to say as ng if, and what must be the condition, this form first. Okay, the form name is what, form. Okay, then this control, which control I have received is the first name. If that first name is available, and if that first name is invalid, okay, that first name is invalid, then and then only I am going to show that data. Okay, controls, okay, I forget to write that control name, first name dot invalid, then and then only I'm going to represent this data. Okay, you guys can see I will put it to the new line so that you guys can see it very well. This is where first name will appear, because the same input we guys are required for the rest of data. Now check. So initially when the form is loaded, the first name button or the first name text box is invalid, and that is why it is showing. But I wanted to work it somewhere. If the user selected this and get back to the next, then and then only you have to show these error messages. Well, to do that, so you can add one more condition, that is again form, okay, dot controls dot this first name and dot touch. Touch means if user touches that text boxes and still we are not provided that data correctly, then only it is going to show that information. Okay, that is touch. Okay, what is that? Let me select with this touch. All right, let me just get back here. Now you guys can see when the page is loaded, as it's not touch, the error message is not showing. But if I touch and get back to the next input, and as hence I have not provided data, so enter first name is showing on a picture. And similar like this, I'm going to add all this span to my rest of control. So I'm going to add for first here to my label inside div, as okay, this belongs to what, middle name. So I'm just going to change that variable names for the control, and here also I'm going to change the variable name. Now the same span I required for the last name. So here also we are going to put, so this is belongs to the last name. Now let us add all the data, and here also and here also. So in error messages I'm writing this and show. Now you guys can see as it's okay, I'm going to touch with this, so it is representing, it is also representing, and it is also representing. Now you can write the control. Okay, for date of birth and age is not required because they are dynamically changes, but for the email address we are going to assign, for gender also we are going to assign, and for the fees also we are going to assign. Now let them add for the email. So I'm going to copy this span one more time, and for email right here I'm going to paste it, and here email to write, This control name I'm going to change here. Okay, so we have changes must be done it here. All right, now the same thing I have to add it to the select, but the select span is going to shown very different. Okay, now let us check how we can apply the validations to this select. So ng if this form dot this called a gender, okay, dot their value is not equals to select. If the value is not equals to select and this gender is invalid and gender is touched, then and only instead of enter I'm going to select here select gender. That is a message. Now let us check how does it will appears. So I will get back here, so you guys can see okay, it should not be equals to, it should be is equals to select. Now let us check. I guess we have to assign the required property in the TypeScript, then it can be applied. Okay, let me add the required property. So values dot required. Now let me select with this. So I'm going to select and get back, but still it is not reflecting correct. Oh, that's condition we guys have changes. Let me get back here. This condition must be not equals to select. All right, now let us check. So we are at email. So I will get back here. So it says enter email. And here I'm going to select any data, get back to the next. Here also I'm going to select and get back to the next, but still the gender is not working fine. Well, let us just check with that informations whether what are the CSS is going to assign with this. So this is the class gender. So initially the CSS is assigned is ng valid, ng touched. Okay, why it is comes with ng valid? Because here in selected we have to assign some data. Right, now let us get back. Now you guys can see this is the data that we have put it. And if I'm going to select and just go to the next, so it says select gender, but if I'm going to select any other data, the validation will be got removed. And the same steps we are going to apply right here for the course. So first thing I'm going to do is to add the validators to the course that is required. Then I'm going to add this selected default value. Okay, here that value is nothing. Right, then the next step that I'm going to do is to add the span right here for the course after this select. So I'm going to say this is course, this is for course, and this is also for course. Right, one more span we are going to add the feeds. So let us get back here. Okay, control dot here I'm going to mention as feeds. Now the same control I provide for here and for here, and if it is true then here we are going to say enter feeds and here select course. Now let us say all control validation has been done. Now we are going to write the control. I will get back here. So it says first name, so I'm going to enter the first name, let us say Suraj. Once it is enter, validation will be got removed. For the middle name I'm going to enter Sunil, and this is the data. So if my data is not available there, it says going to say enter last name. So as I'm provided the data, valid that messages will be got removed, and this is where our information is got stored. Then our email address, we have seen all these validations right there. So if it is there, it's fine. If it is not there, it's going to say enter email. I'm going to put the data. Then here for the gender, if I'm not selected anything, it said select gender. For the course also, if I'm not selected anything, it's going to say select course. So I'm going to select the gender, I'm going to select the course, and the fees also, let us say 3000. And now you guys can see the button click submit is got enabled. Now we have to show all these values of this form, reactive forms, to our console. And to do that, so you guys can just write the ng submit event to your HTML. So we haven't written the ng submit event. So let us get back here, and I'm going to bind that ng submit event. Let us say on site. Hence I haven't write there, so that's why it comes to the error. Let us get back to the TS file, and here we are going to write the method of on submit. And in the on submit, I'm going to provide this just to our control or console. So form dot value we are going to print. Alright, let me check what is the error. Okay, this must be accessed using this dot form dot value. Let's get back. Let us put all the information and check in the console. Right. Okay, so email. Okay, so gender, course, and this is fees. Now let us open the developer console, inspect, go to the console, and here we have some data. So I'm going to remove all this console right here, and when I click on submit, so you guys can see all the information in JSON format with all the attributes: first name, middle name, last name, date of birth, then age, then course, DOB, email, feeds. All this information are shown right here, and this is how you guys can able to form with the reactive forms model along with dynamic validations in Angular with the easiest mode. I hope you guys have understood how to create designs in Angular, how to works with the validations. If you guys can understood something, give us the thumbs up and do share to the needful people you know to whom the videos needs to be shared. And thanks for watching this video. We will soon in the next video tutorial.